Today we're going to load test this. We're going to keep track of RPM, also the loads, and we'll keep track of the indicator lights. Now I didn't do it in my last video because, well, I didn't have my test equipment. I was out at Quartzsite, Arizona at the RV show out there. So we'll go over some of the specs and the features of this generator. And then at the very end, we'll go over a little bit of other info that might be valuable to some of you, and even pull out the Honda next to it just to go over a little bit of side-by-side comparisons, because a couple of people think that I didn't really treat the Honda fairly, which, Pulsar's dual fuel generator is rated at 3,000 watts on propane or 3,200 on gasoline, which attributes to about 26.7 amps on gas or 25 on propane. It has a simple fuel source selector switch, can be put into parallel, low idle, a 20 amp plug along with an L530R plug. This will also use the 164F motor, which is 145 cc's, which this engine is starting to become pretty popular across several lines. This is also made by Dinkin Power. And since this is made by Dinkin Power, they just made this new electronic fuel pump for extended run times. You simply get an external tank, and this can be powered up in a couple different manners. I just did a video on this, but you simply turn on the pump, it'll detect the fuel level inside the fuel tank, and then it'll automatically fill it up as needed as it continues to run. I just did a video on this, so I'll leave a link of the video down below along with a link of this item. Okay, so I'm going to be running this off of propane because I don't really want to use this as a gas generator at all. The whole reason I bought it was to use this, as I demonstrated when I was out in Quartzsite, Arizona, to use it on my onboard tanks, which just makes it a lot more convenient. So I can run it straight off of there, I can charge up my power kit, and basically that's the whole use for this particular generator. Now, one thing we are going to do is use the Power Watchdog. Not only is this a great piece of test equipment, it's a good way to protect your trailer too. And also what's cool is that anytime I utilize a new testing device, kind of like this guy here, when I made this little box, there were actually other people who made these as well, and now this thing you can actually buy online. There's actually a Chinese company that made the darn thing, which, you know, unlucky me, I didn't, do anything about it. But now that I'm testing with this thing down here, other people are doing the same thing. So it's kind of nice that people are actually following, some of my testing methods, kind of flattering. Okay, so I'll put up the RPM, the load, that way you guys can see it. We're going to run this off of propane and get started. So the first thing we'll do is come inside here. Now, even though it's really cool outside, I still will turn on the air conditioner. This is more of an inductive load, so it's harder to run. But this is only a 15K AC unit. It does have a soft start, so fired that up, and sorry, it's kind of out of focus. I don't know what happened here, but you can hear it kind of kick up, and there it goes. Compressor's running. Now, one thing about this, even though it says it's only about 1,060 watts right now, that 15K AC unit will burn 1,750 watts when it's really hot outside. That's like the max it'll draw. And if you want to take a look, here is the sine wave of it under this load. Now you can see our wattage has also come up, but that's a nice pure sine wave, and our voltage looks great. So I'm going to turn on my second AC now. This is a 13.5K. I also have a soft start on this as well because I'm utilizing the EcoFlow power kit to run both of these sometimes. And now that's also going to kick up. Now I've seen this wattage draw as high as about 2,800 with both of them going. And you can see it's only 21, but our sine wave still looks nice and clean, and our voltage hasn't dropped at all, so still good. Okay, we'll turn on some more stuff. So we're gonna get up to 3,000 watts, and I use this little fan and also this little heater. I've been using this since I came out with the video, and it's great. It's 25 bucks, but the thing is, some people buy the $8 one and then they complain it's junk. Well, when you buy the cheapest of the cheap, that's what happens. But this little venti fan, I use this thing to circulate the warm air in here, and I just set this to 60 degrees, but turn that on, you'll start to see the wattage come up, and now you see the RPM also coming up. And again, the max kind of wattage, or RPM, that you'll see is going to be about 4850, but there is room for error on the gauge. And guess what? Here's another one. I use this one in my bathroom. They have a new one which actually has a remote, which I'm going to buy that, but I utilize this in my RV bathroom because it works great. It's only 400 watts. It dries my towels a little bit. I utilize it to stay warm in the shower because honestly, I hate being cold. I'm just not a cold person, but turn that on, away it goes. Now up to 3,000 watts. pretty much at the max load of this Pulsar generator as we let these kind of settle down. Now, if it was hot outside, this would be different because again, those AC units, they would be drawing a lot more power. They would be drawing almost 3,000 watts just by themselves. Okay, now I've been letting this run. It's almost about 10 minutes now since we were inside the RV just to make sure it'll hold it. Now, one thing is that this is rated for 3,000 watts while on propane, and you can see we're at 2,900. Now, here's the deal. If you're gonna buy a generator and you're gonna run it right here, well, honestly, you need to get another generator because 3,000 watts is its max. Now, you wouldn't drive your car at full throttle, would you? So if you need a generator to run more than this, then you should look at buying a larger size generator that can handle this. You may need to go to like the Predator 35, the Champion or something that's gonna be able to hold this sustained load. This is good for once in a while for a few minutes, but if you do this when it's really hot out, guaranteed this will more than likely shut off. But I like the size, so that's why I have it. It fits there, it's perfect, and I don't like lifting those heavier ones. And to look at the sine wave while it is at full throttle, because this is where you will see some distortion, but that looks really good. The distortion is minimal, so we'll move on. Okay, we're gonna do one more load test because the more I test products, the more I kind of find ways to make them fail. So I've found that sometimes when the generator is at like, 50 or 60% load, they will either work or they won't. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use that little hair dryer over there, and we're gonna go see if we can max this thing out and if it will go over or if it'll struggle. So what we're gonna do is turn on this microwave and see what happens. I've seen several of these not work under this condition, so here we go. And yep, just as I suspected, look at that. So our RPM is not coming up to 4,850, and I should be at like 3,200 watts. That should be over. But the sine wave still looks good, so it's not distorted, and our voltage isn't really low. 110 is fine, so we're gonna drop the power a little bit and see if it'll work at a little bit less. Okay, so we're gonna just turn this down a little bit. This is gonna go down to just over 1,000 watts, and now we'll see if that microwave test still works. And sorry, I don't have the RPM because my other camera actually died, so I lost this footage, but we'll try it again and see if it revs up. And there it goes. You can hear the generator going all the way up, and now it's actually working as it should. So this is what it should do. Obviously, if you overload your generators, then you need something bigger, or just turn off your power. Now, in my last video, I did a bunch of sound testing, again, because I didn't have test equipment for this, and I merely stated facts about what the Honda does and what it doesn't do. And some people think that I really didn't treat it fairly, which I'm not trying to not be fair. I'm just trying to tell you what it does and what this does. This is $600. This is $1,200. If you want it to run propane, you have to buy a $250 kit. Can you install it by yourself? It's not that hard. Some people can't. So if you have a shop install it, they're going to charge you anywhere from $100 to $150 an hour, and then you're going to add another $500 to have this be able to run dual fuel. That's $1,500. That's almost 3 of these. So this one here is a great generator. I won't doubt it. But it doesn't do everything that I need. I like this size, hence I went with this. Why not? So again, it's rated at 1,800 watts. This one's rated at 3,000 max. If you were gonna run it at sustained 3,000, you shouldn't buy this anyway. You're supposed to buy a generator where you're gonna live between 25% and 75%. If you were constantly running at 75% and over, you need a bigger generator. If you were always running around 30% and under, you should probably buy a smaller generator. So that's the whole reason behind this. Now, who makes this? Well, let me show you. Okay, now this is made by Dinkin Power. If you don't know who Dinkin Power is, it's a Chinese company. It's where all of our stuff comes from China. It's just the way it is. Dinkin Power makes this one, which this uses the same 145cc engine. It's a 164F model. So these are almost exactly identical. There's not really a lot different. I mean, look at them. Dinkin Power also makes this one. This is actually the company, which is GenMax. Dinkin Power made their own line, which is these guys right here, GenMax. They're also the ones that came out with the EFI one just recently. Now this is the prototype that they came out with a while back, and then this is the new production model that they have out now. This has a slightly larger engine. Instead of all of these having the 145cc model, this one has a 159cc engine, and all of these turn the same RPM. They all do 4850 as their max, whereas the little 22 Honda does 4000 max, and the new EFI Honda does 4800 max, which that's kind of a lot for a Honda. I mean, I usually don't see them, but they're rated as a high performance engine. So now back to this guy. If this is something that you're looking for, it's not a bad option. I did a lot of research. I followed this since it came out back probably, it was probably 8 months ago. And it started selling a lot, which is why I was interested in it. There was a couple sellers who had it on like Amazon, and then there was some on eBay, and they sold a lot, like really in the beginning. And so I kind of kept track of it, and the people love this thing. It has really good reviews. You can go look it up yourself. I'm not denying any of it. You can go look. That's why I said it's the #1 seller. But I also have one other item you guys might also be interested in. This literally just got dropped off at my door as I was making this video. So this, let me show you, this is brand new. This is a new Max Peding rods, 4000, but I don't even know who this is made from, so let's find out. Let's see, this one says it's made by Chongqing Guoyu Technology, which is actually the same one that that one's made from. Using the same engine though. So they've used their engine, but they might have just slightly different electronics, like the inverter board really, but the carburetor and all that stuff's gonna be the same. So if you wanna see this one, I'm gonna be coming out with the review real quick on this. We'll check out everything else, and they do have another model as well that's gonna be following this one, so you'll wanna stay tuned for that. I hope you guys liked the video. Thanks for sticking around for kind of the little vent session. Other than that, hope to see you in the next one.